continue to stack XRP, waiting for price appreciation. Curious your thoughts on XDC versus HBAR for greater ROI through 2030 and beyond. XDC versus HBAR. I would really need to understand total addressable market for both. So let's just look it up. It says total GDP made up of exporting and importing goods and bills of lading and all of the stuff that's involved with trade finance grew to $2.5 trillion in 2022. So 10% a year looks like, maybe a little bit less than that. Total global growth projected at 3.3% for 2026. So maybe we're looking at $3 trillion total addressable market for XDC. If it only gets that application, we know that they're going after that one. So that's what I'm going to use for that. HBAR, this says the digital economy, apps, software, internet services has grown to represent 18% of US GDP. So this is just US GDP, which is $4.9 trillion in early 2025. All right. So I just kind of, again, do the same thing I do for companies. I go look at what they're trying to solve, what application it's going to be used in. I look at the total addressable market for that. I assume that they're going to aggregate about 80% of that and be the market leader like Google is, or, Pareto principle. So let's say XDC ends up with $2.5 trillion moving over the network. And just the GDP for web services and apps and other stuff, not global, which the other was global, is 4.9 trillion for HBAR. So if they get 80% of that, we're looking at, call it $4 trillion, just the US market. Global markets are probably 10 trillion, somewhere in there if you're at 80%. I'm going to go with HBAR. There's a higher total addressable market for that. Oh, let's look at the total supply for HBAR real quick. Total supply for HBAR is 50 billion. So circulating supply is currently 43. Circulating supply for XDC is like 19. They have about half the supply out there. By 2030, I would expect all the tokens to be on the market. You'd have full circulating supply of both of these. So you're going to go with the one that has the higher addressable total market that they're going after. So, if I had to narrow it down over the next 6 years, 4 years, golly, already 2026. Next 4 years, which one I thought would perform better. That's the way I would look at it. And based on the numbers that I have and the data and information that I can find on the internet, I'm going to say HBAR, outperforms XDC over that period.